Are we recording? Yes.
Yes.
Hey, what's up there, Internet? I'm Droid the Match Extreme.
And I'm Ghost Hunter Dave.
And together we form IMPERIUS REX.
Yes, we do.
Today on the show, we are going to be
IMPERIUS REX.
Yeah, that's the show I'm talking about. We're going to be going over Alan Moore and
Jacen.
Is it Jacen? Sure.
I'm assuming.
Jacen Burrows. If it's wrong, hit us up at IMPERIUS REX Show on Twitter. We're going to be going over NEONOMICON.
And you may be thinking, what the hell is this NEONOMICON?
Yeah.
What is that? Sounds terrible.
I wanted to ask you, why are we reading this?
Well, find out after the music. NEONOMICON, a play on the Necronomicon from the lore, right?
Yes.
And Neo, meaning new?
Oh, I was going to go with the Matrix, but...
Well, he was a new resistance fighter.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's leather jackets in this book.
A couple. There's fishmen orgies in this book. Let's not get into it yet. Let's provide a little background on why we're reading this. Primarily because I just read it, and its enormous follow-up, Providence, and felt like, I'm not going to read this again anytime soon. And it seems like a very good dichotomy to our spiritually uplifting Day Tripper.
Yeah.
So why not dive into, like, the bleakest thing Alan Moore has ever written? And
that's saying a lot.
Yeah, I know. So this was a 4-issue series. 5 if you count the Prelude, the Courtyard. So 5 issues, really. Yeah. It's by Avatar Press.
Yep.
And another 2010. Day Tripper was 2010, too.
How about that?
Yeah. And this is inspired by the works of legendary horror writer and tentacle enthusiast H.P. Lovecraft.
Now, I'm familiar with H.P. Lovecraft, but I'm not,
surface level?
Yeah, very... I know he writes tentacle monsters.
Hellboy. Mignola has helped us identify.
But that's it. That's all I know. And I think going in on this blind is a detriment.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea why people are utterly racist and weird sexual things going on in the latter half of the book. I had to look that up later until it made sense after I read it. Don't know if it helped me enjoy the read anymore.
I don't know if anyone would just pick this thing up without any type of kind of prior knowledge.
Well,
I mean,
it's got Alan Moore's
it?
name on it.
Yeah. So I heard that he wrote this because he needed the money.
That might show, because I thought that the Prelude, the Courtyard...
Yeah.
Did that come out first, or did it come out after?
He wrote that as a short story originally in a anthology of Lovecraft homaged stories. So that was adapted from his short story, like a literature story.
Okay.
Prose.
Okay. Yeah, I gotcha.
And that was 4 or 5 years before he wrote the follow-up, which is NEONOMICON, I guess.
Because I wasn't as interested in that Prelude as much, because I thought...
No, it just kind of sets up what is going to happen in the main story.
Vaguely.
Yeah. All right. We should set this up a bit.
Okay, go for it.
So the Prelude follows an FBI agent named Aldo Sachs.
Yeah.
Who is investigating kind of against his will, this dirty area, I think Red Hook.
Yeah.
Which is a throwback to a Lovecraftian city. And there's some sort of drug trafficking going on, and also a bunch of seemingly unrelated ritualistic murders that people have done across the country that have no background with each other.
Right. But they're all similar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know quite how to phrase that. They're the similar crime scenes.
Yeah.
But they have no prior knowledge of that these other crime scenes exist. It's not a copycat killer.
No.
So he's taking a look into this drug, apparently, that may be causing it.
Yep.
And he hears that there is a dealer named Johnny Carcosa, who is kind of a stand-in for a Lovecraft character, Nyarlathotep. Hold on, I can get this.
All right, let's do it.
Nyarlathotep. That's it. Nyarlathotep.
Okay.
You want to say it?
Nope.
All right. Okay. And then it ends up, the drug is kind of like a spoken series of phrases.
Right.
That sends him into madness.
Yeah.
Consciousness expanding madness.
Right.
In typical Lovecraft fashion. Character goes insane.
Right.
And starts butchering people.
Yep.
In the similar fashion
Yep.
as the guys he was investigating.
Yes.
So that kicks off the story, basically. It's like a weird, kind of unrelated prelude.
Yes.
In the main story, the meat of it follows two FBI agents, female who is a sex addict, recovering sex addict.
Yep.
Named Burrows.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I kept saying bears until I saw that there was another R in there, and I'm like,
they hit it after the B.
Brerers.
And her partner, who is a African-American upstanding guy named Lampers. Yep. And they're investigating the former agent's murders. Yes. Seeing why he went psychotic. And their investigation leads them to a small town called Salem, Massachusetts. You may have heard of it. But Salem is kind of a stand-in for Arkham, I believe, in Lovecraftian lore. Okay. Arkham is inspired by Salem.
Okay. I'm with you.
Yep.
Okay.
All of this is in relation to Lovecraft. And the weird thing is they don't play it up like Lovecraft wasn't real. Right. They very much acknowledge, like, oh, it's like that story that guy wrote. Yeah. So they go there, they track the investigation to this occult bookshop / sex toy dungeon. Yes. Run by rabid literary Lovecraftian fans. Yes. So they essentially track down like Cthulhu dildos and find like the Made in Salem, Massachusetts tag on it, and they go investigate this innocent looking bookstore. Right. I'm going to hand it off to you now because I just want to hear your take on what happens next. So that's in the first issue and a half, I would say. Still seems like, okay, it's a mystery, a murder mystery. Yeah. Hints of weird Lovecraftian overtones. Yes. Drink for every time I say Lovecraftian, and this is going to come up a lot, and you'll be dead.
This is the part of the story where it's almost a hard stop, and we can't show any more images without being kicked off YouTube.
I was going to say, it's going to be very interesting editing this at work, and also just using my best judgment on what we can actually show.
Okay, so they walk into this bookstore a la Sex Dungeon, get invited to a party.
Warmly welcomed by a bunch of just middle-aged, unassuming literary hounds.
To a get-together, which happens to... I'm trying not to bury the lead. It's an orgy.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And these are the people that would be at an orgy.
Yes. Not a single looker in the bunch.
So... They come back later that night, and
posing as a married couple,
right? And they get invited to go down in the cellar rather than like in another back room,
right? So there's some underground tunnels leading way beneath like the city
with graffiti or carvings into the walls of monstrous Cthulhu type monsters with very large erections.
Yep.
And then they open a very heavy door into a changing room where everyone strips down. And from this point forward, for almost an entire issue, everybody is full frontal naked.
Having sex.
Having sex with each other, on each other, with each other, in this big pool.
Yeah, just a gross looking pool. Like literally nothing in the room but a pool.
Yeah. And they said it's full of river water, too.
Yeah.
Which also... unsanitary.
No.
Like, we live close to the Mississippi River.
The big money.
The big, mighty Mississippi, which I wouldn't go in to save my life.
No. There's catfish in there the size of cars.
Regardless.
Okay. We're going to get into spoilers here because it is such a 180.
Yes.
If we haven't already given too much away. But yeah, if you want to find out what the hell this is for yourself.
Yeah, just stop the video, go check it out yourself.
But if you need more coercing.
Here we go.
Yep.
So they start
fornicating
with each other.
Yep.
And the agents are found out by one of the women that found their guns in their backpacks or whatever it is.
Yeah, poor planning.
Very poor planning. I don't even think they brought bags down. It doesn't matter anyway.
No.
So anyway, boom! The agent died. What's his name?
The black guy. The African American. Lampers?
Yeah. So he gets taken out right off the bat. And now...
That was a shock.
It was a shock because you think he'd be like kind of the hero to force everything to go along. That's not the case.
No.
He's done and out. You don't see anything again except for his decaying corpse.
Yeah.
And then the woman, Burrows, is like legally blind. Essentially.
Yeah, because she has glasses on and they pull them off. Or no, I'm sorry, she has contacts and they tell her take them out or you're gonna get a nasty eye infection from all this water we're swimming in. So it is. I think it's a great moment in this where it shows a lot of it from her point of view, and it's all blurred.
Right.
So when like the reveal happens, you're seeing it how she does, and you're like,
"What is going on?" Yeah, you're squinting like, "What is that?"
And they're talking about it and to it.
Yeah.
And you're like,
"What is happening?
Person? What is this?"
So then the full reveal is that it's like The Shape of Water. It's The Shape of Water, only rape.
Yeah, it's the rape of water.
So you'll have that, right?
So they're all having a go at her. Right. It's horrible. It's not. Terrible. We shouldn't be laughing at it. It's very bad, but it is
terrible.
Yeah,
but it's written to not be like. It's written horribly.
Oh yeah,
like to feel bad for this woman.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
It is horrific. It is a horror book.
Yeah.
A mature book where like the horror of this is rape.
Yeah.
For a lot of it.
Yes.
It's not like a guy with a knife. It is this situation where she is completely, literally and figuratively fucked.
Yes.
And they, so they bring out, like, the guest of honor.
Uh-huh. So they bring out...
I want to hear your opinion on this.
They bring out, like, if Abe Sapien banged the Hulk... That is what this creature looks like.
It's a fish man.
It's a fish man.
A deep one from the lore.
Right, yeah, I guess.
Lovecraftian lore.
Lovecraftian lore. And this thing is sex hungry. Like
it's an animal.
It really is. And it also has its way with this woman. And
for days.
And then she wakes up and the thing is still kind of coming after her and it's like...
But they kind of develop a little bit of a weird understanding between each other.
Kind of. Like, it is an animal that just wants to, like, procreate, is essentially what it is. And it will forcefully do so.
And they've been basically offering themselves to it down there for years, too.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, they just found it somewhere. Right. Like, it just drifted in.
I don't know.
It's one of their nightly orgies, I guess.
And so then this woman, it approaches her again, and because she's been beaten up down there, she offers it a HJ. And then she urinates, which this thing then drinks her urine to find out that it gets surprised by something and takes her underwater and drags her away from almost the horrors that are going on in that building.
Yeah, I forgot if there was a reason for her to pee all over the place. And it was because that is what the fish man realizes that she's now pregnant.
Yeah.
With his...
Which you don't get until the very end, but it's like a whole thing. And
So he breaks her out.
Yeah.
They go on the run.
Yes.
On the lam.
Yes. And
so she gets back to
She gets back to Salem.
Yeah.
Calls her department. They storm that place.
She says, "You're never going to believe this."
Boy, do I have a story for you.
Uh-huh.
She goes back to her department. Everyone storms that building, takes everyone else out, including the fish man.
Yeah, everyone's gone.
Everyone's gone. And then she, takes time off and then ends up going see the guy that you saw from the courtyard.
Aldo Sachs. Psychotic former agent.
Who's now in, a psychiatric lockup.
Yeah.
And she's coming to see him again because now she has figured out the Lovecraftian language.
Yes.
And can talk back to him.
Yeah.
Because that's all that he was spewing out when they met him before.
Yeah, so it's all the unpronounceable...
apostrophes, consonants, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then he realizes now that he is in the presence of a queen because now she is carrying the Lovecraftian, spawn or whatever.
Yep. Cthulhu.
Is it Cthulhu?
Yeah.
Is that what I should... Okay.
Yeah, because it's Cthulhu because Cthulhu is going to return and wipe out humanity. Right. And after the day she's had, she's like...
oh, boy.
Maybe that's not a bad thing.
Sure.
Fuck it.
Right.
Who cares?
Yeah.
It's a very nihilistic ending.
So, I wasn't a huge fan of this story.
You don't say.
Except when I got to the part where she did go underground with her partner, I was more invested than I was previously because it starts things actually rolling.
Oh, yeah.
Where things are coming to light and it's okay, this was because of this and this leads to that. And I was like, okay, I flew through the last few issues.
You get to that point and you're like, this is what this is about?
And if you're flipping through it, that's... all the last half of the book is all of that stuff. I flipped through it and I was just like, Dave.
What is he having me read?
What sort of weird nightmares do you want me to have?
Would you agree that this is absolutely, nightmare-inducing?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
It gave me a weird dream after I read it.
Right.
Also, the artist, Jacen Burrows, I recognized him from Crossed, that he did with Garth Ennis.
Oh, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this the same guy? And I went and I wasn't a fan of Crossed either.
Is Crossed Avatar too?
Yeah. It's also Avatar Press.
After reading this, it kind of made me want to go and read Crossed again.
No. I don't like it. Some
I know,
people love
I hated it too. But
I don't
there's more, it goes forever.
Yeah, it does.
So I'm like, maybe it gets better.
There's 12
or maybe
volumes
I'm just riding this awful rape violence high that I want to keep it going.
I don't know. Ugh.
No. I'm not proud of it. It's more of one of those car crash things where you don't want to look, but you kind of have to.
Yeah. And anyway, Jacen Burrows' art is very adequate in this, but I think it gets progressively better, especially after the prologue.
I think so too. He's doing Moon Knight now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
Yep.
He's got a kind of it's a simplistic line art.
Uh-huh.
But he also has this is a weird analogy, a weird Where's Waldo type of art.
Yeah.
Where even to the point where in some panels there's just weird things going on over here that make no difference.
I guarantee you it was probably because of Alan Moore. In the background, completely out of focus.
Maybe.
And a person
for instance, there's
a cat.
There's a scene where somebody's going down a stairwell and there's two people making out on a landing. And while the lady's making out with the guy, she's also stealing his wallet. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's a fun little thing that he's just throwing in there. And I'm like, I like that. So he really won me over by the end of the book.
Oh, yeah. It's very, very detailed, but it's all line art.
Yeah.
There's no shading or anything to his pencils or inks.
Right. I know you're more of a Lovecraft person than I am.
Uh-huh.
I don't dislike it, but it's not necessarily my bag either. I like it when it's used in Hellboy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's really fun, because it is just the undescribable, tentacly, things, and this big devil monster can punch it. Yeah, that's great.
Well, so many things from his writing is, ingrained in pop culture now, especially.
Right.
The Necronomicon is straight up from H.P. Lovecraft, even though it's in everything.
Yeah.
You know?
You can even buy a Necronomicon.
Yeah, exactly. Cthulhu is everywhere, but, that's him.
There he is.
He's right. He's reading it right now. Along with glow-in-the-dark Cthulhu. But yeah, he's got so many things, and tentacle monsters, you don't want to say he doesn't own the trademark on tentacle monsters, but show me a tentacle monster thing before he wrote about it. You know, it's very much a Lovecraft thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just one of those, if you're kind of like a literary hound or your taste in literature goes beyond comic books and you're into this type of thing, you probably get a huge kick out of this because it's a fresh look at Lovecraftian tropes.
Yeah, almost like supplementary, like stuff that like Lovecraft, I guess, would leave out from his stuff.
Yeah, it's like it's meta without being like too
on the nose.
Yeah,
I don't know.
What's the word?
Meta?
That's it. Pretentious.
Oh, sure.
Maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Like, it's telling its own thing, but it's piggybacking off. It's doing the Alan Moore thing, where he takes something that exists and then does his own thing with it.
Yeah.
While still bad-mouthing when people do that to his own work.
Right.
Watchmen. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Doomsday Clock.
Miracle Man. The list goes on and on. But, I mean, what a writer.
Yeah.
No, I can say no one else would have written this but Alan Moore.
You're very much true on that.
All right.
Like, I do think this is probably one of my least favorite things that Alan Moore's written that I've read.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't feel like it's as inspired as some of his other works. And I felt like...
It's like a weird little one-off.
Yeah.
But...
Okay.
He follows this thing up with a 12-issue miniseries from Avatar Press with his partner in crime, Jacen Burrows, called Providence.
Okay.
And this takes what he established in Neonomicon and tells more of the story.
It continues it?
It's a prequel and a sequel.
Okay.
And you don't really realize that until you get to the end of it. So, again, second spoiler if you're going to tune out. If you tune back in for some strange reason, get out of here. We're still talking. This was a 12-issue series by Avatar. Ran from 2015 to 2017. Same team. It is it's a follow-up set in 1919. And it centers around a writer named Robert Black, a closeted gay reporter who plans on writing like the great American novel around the secret underground societies that exist beneath the facade of the New England states.
Okay.
So this book, this series, references like virtually every Lovecraft story. Mm-hmm. And the amount of research that Alan Moore did on this is incomprehensible.
All right.
Like, he said he read everything Lovecraft wrote and then did deep research on what it was like to live in the 1920s, in that era. Like, went through photographs. You can go on this website, I can't remember the name, but I'll throw it up here, where they go through every issue and give every annotated listing of what he's referencing. There's photos that like date right to the pictures that Jacen Burrows drew. It is insane.
Dang.
It is one of those things where like, this isn't enjoyable, but by God, do I respect it. Until you get to the end and you see how it all ties together and it's like, oh, that was really, really, really good.
All right.
But as you're going through, it's kind of like taking the things that inspired Lovecraft and setting them in the real life times.
Okay.
And this writer's going around on like his journey exploring the New England states. Mm-hmm. And he goes to these towns, these real towns that inspire the fictional towns and fictional characters that Lovecraft writes about.
Jeez.
And then he takes it a step further and the writer meets Lovecraft and befriends him. Mm-hmm. And this whole time the writer's keeping a diary. So he shares the diary with Lovecraft, and then Lovecraft writes his most notable stories inspired by the writer's travels.
Okay.
So all these things that you're like, oh, that's a reference to this Lovecraft story. Flips it, and it's like, no, Lovecraft's story is a reference to this.
Gotcha!
Yeah. But, I mean, it's so well done, where even the things that aren't terribly, like, interesting, you're just like, how did he... how'd he come up with this? So then the big reveal of this is that it is not only a precursor to Neonomicon, it is a sequel to it because the last two issues, it flashes forward in the future and reconnects with all the characters from Neonomicon. And the full apocalypse is happening now.
Oh, man.
So, like, Lovecraftian monsters, winged bat creatures, everything are going around. Reality itself has turned into this, like, liquid dream state where people are... I can tell you're loving this. And Agent Breyers is about to give birth to Cthulhu.
Okay.
So then she does, and, like, all these reoccurring characters pop up on a bridge. She births Cthulhu. And it turns out that Lovecraft himself is the prophet to usher in all these things, because everything he wrote about is like birthing this new reign of terror.
Oh,
Sounds like a movie tagline. But everything that happens in Providence is so that the character talks with Lovecraft, inspires him to write his shit.
Okay.
The cultists have their way with the agents, and she gives birth to Cthulhu to usher in the end of the world.
My God.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need a stiffer drink.
Yes. So I am going to refer to one of our friends of the show, who voiced his opinion. 23MP23. So he says, this is one of the few comics that I genuinely feel disturbing and worthy of being called a piece of horror fiction. Horror, not easy to do in comics, but after I first read the series, I found myself genuinely shocked and rattled by some of the scenes and concepts presented in the books. Not something I would casually recommend to people interested in comics, Dave. These books, especially Providence, are slow, wordy, requiring it to be taken in, digested, and they're bursts of violence that are so uncomfortable that they just stick with you because they contrast so much with, like, the mundane stuff. He says he really likes how the stories all tie together and fit into Lovecraft's fiction almost seamlessly. It feels like an expansion of the lore. Lore galore.
Lore galore.
Yep. If you are a fan of Lovecraftian horror, you owe it to yourself to read this. It is a true tribute to Lovecraft, his fiction, and the legacy he created. And I completely agree, because I fancy myself a fan of Lovecraft, and after I read these, I went back, opened up my big tome of Lovecraft stuff, and just started reading, like, all the stories that he actually references in Providence. So it's just one of those things where absolutely supplemental reading is what I would call it.
Yeah.
But in itself, it tells this grandiose story that not only ties into Neonomicon, it ties into everything this author has ever written. And tells a worthy follow-up to it.
Well,
so there you go.
You haven't flipped me on it yet, but...
Are you close?
I'm closer.
I would tell you to read the last 2 issues of Providence.
Okay.
Like, you don't need to read all the Robert Black writer stuff, but you might be interested in, like, what that eventual, like, conclusion of the Neonomicon story is.
Oh, okay.
And I think you could probably do that without reading the whole miniseries. I wouldn't recommend it, because if you're a fan of this shit, you might
get
want
it all.
it. But but you know, give it a read if you're interested.
Man, long ep.
Long, unsettling episode. And we should definitely end by saying, rape is horrible. I feel like...
Did we need to say that again?
I feel like we've been chuckling through this whole thing, but it's purely
just
the
very
alcohol
shocking.
And it's shock value of, like, this is... I can't believe I'm seeing this unfold before me.
Right.
It's outlandish and ridiculous, but horrible and graphic.
Yes.
And unsettling.
Not for everyone.
No. Racism, also bad.
Also bad.
We're just covering our backs here. We don't condone any of this. And we're having a good time in each other's company. It's not for laughs, guys. You're not going to have a smile on your face when you read this.
Absolutely not. Should have seen my face when I read it. It was like this.
You look like one of the deep ones.
Oh, no. But anyway... Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
So that was Neonomicon.
With a side of Providence.
So tell us what you thought if you've read it.
God help you.
Let us know down below what you thought. Or if you were completely put off, tell us why in the comments down below as well.
I wonder what it could be.
But until next time, where we'll be reviewing
a new one, kind of. By the time this airs, probably not so new, but it might be in trades at that time. X-Men Grand Design. Make some sense out of that X-Men continuity. It's like it was written for you.
Well, we'll get into it next episode.
All right.
But until next time, I've been Short of the Max Extreme.
And I've been Ghost Hunter Dave.
And this has been Imperius Rex.
And let's wrap this up really quick because this is a long episode.
Bye.